Zangpo.
Kamrimo.
Jajolappa.
Chajalo.
Namaste.
Hello and welcome to the Summit Times.
Awesome. That's how long we've been off the air.
Hello and welcome to the Sikkim podcast brought to you by Summit Times. Finally.
Yeah, got it right.
We are back after a long time and we thought we'll start with some good news. We have a lot of bad news that will follow.
Who are we?
I am Chiring Eden.
And I'm Pema Wongchuk.
So, to start with, great news with Sikkim's Nima Doma
Yeah. Of
EMRS Gangyap being selected in the Indian basketball team, women's Indian basketball team. She's 24 years old.
She's now 24 years. I think she has been playing since she must have been 12?
Yeah.
This has been at least 10 years that they've been at it. And congratulations to the principal, Siddharth Yonson.
Yes.
Yeah, he's done an awesome job.
And her selection, in early November, I think first week of November, maybe her name was announced in the Indian team that is going to play the FIBA Olympic pre-qualifying tournament from November 14th to 17th in Malaysia. She is the second Northeastern, I think, woman basketball player to be selected in the team.
I have no idea.
According to an article in the Scroll that has just come out, I think. And she's 5'7",
which is tall for Sikkim.
But yeah, kind of average, I guess, for...
Not even average, I think, for the Indian team. Those, can you imagine, the Jat and Punjabi girls, what heights they must be reaching?
And I didn't know, this is so sad for us being in the media in Sikkim and we don't know. And in this article, which has been written by someone who runs a basketball promotion company or something like that, which is also called Eklavya's.
Oh.
Maybe he's related with the EMRS?
No, can't be.
Yeah. So his name is Gopala Krishnan. He is founder of Eklavya's, a basketball media and promotion company. It is R. Gopala Krishnan. So this story came out yesterday on Scroll. So in this story, it's mentioned that in PNG school, the girls have posters of Nima in their rooms and all that.
She's a star. I think the whole EMRS experience with basketball, the girls' basketball team, is so phenomenal. And in the initial years, I remember the media was doing a lot of stories about what this means and how just getting the girls excited about the sport of basketball has affected them positively in so many ways. They've been excelling academically and direction. And Eklavya, EMRS, just to give you some background, is these residential schools essentially meant for tribal kids. And
it's a centrally sponsored.
It's a centrally sponsored, like the JNVs and all that, but mostly kids from underprivileged families in remote areas. And I think the original charter must have said that they will be focused on sports. And they were just lucky to have a principal as committed to giving kids direction. I mean, it's not just sports, right? Their annual musical that they put up is also quite a big thing now. They do quite a splendid job with that. So I think that's a very kind of wholesome education they must be getting there. And to think that these kids started playing basketball without even a proper basketball court. They did not even have a proper hoop. What is it that called? The backboard or whatever, basketball, that board behind the hoop. Yeah. They would practice just on a pole with a hoop on it.
Kudos to EMRS. And
completely.
Not to forget, they have been the Northeast champions for the past...
CBSE schools forever. And we've heard stories like how in local tournaments in Sikkim, everybody is scared of finding a kind of match against them because it's going to be embarrassing.
Yeah, I have a cousin who plays basketball and the way she talks about EMRS girls is like...
Strategy, direction. The speed, everything. It's the sheer commitment, the love. So awesome. Yeah, congrats.
that is the end of the good news.
Yeah.
And we'll move on to really sad news that came up on 8th November. A girl in East Sikkim from in Pakyong was found murdered in a forest
near
area.
her house.
And what happened after that, I mean, the incident itself was very sad.
Disturbing, yes.
Disturbing, and whatever happened after that is even more disturbing. The way it was covered by the media, local media, and the details that emerged also later are also disturbing of what had actually happened. And so when the news broke out, immediately the social media broke the news, and it was reported as a rape and murder. Yeah, a few days into it, then the civil society, so to speak,
the student bodies essentially.
Yeah, there was a lot of outrage on social media from the civil society, and then the student body held a protest rally also demanding justice for the victim, and she was just 19 years old. That also, so that's how the story came out. Now we have, after the police investigations, the investigation is still going on.
The accused has been arrested.
The accused has been
arrested.
After
the protests.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on the administration. So the accused was arrested, and it turns out that the accused was the victim's uncle. Certain details were revealed that we don't think is appropriate for us to say now. But what has come out is that there is an uncertainty about whether rape charges apply in this case.
Yeah, I think, what drove the students to protest and the civil society to react the way they did was also the delay, what appeared to be disinterest in following up with the investigation. And which rings true to some extent, right? Details of the postmortem taking time. It was the condition in which the body was found. It was a brutal murder, right? So it was the condition in which the body was found which kind of led to speculations and also shocked the people. What was wrong? I mean, I don't think the outrage, I mean, you can really have problems with people expressing their outrage. That is kind of okay. Any death, any murder should attract outrage because it's a reflection of on the society itself. But what was really wrong in what happened on social media was the circulation of the photographs. I think that was absolutely uncalled for. That was wrong at all levels. It's just not right to do that. It's just not right to do that. And then of course we can talk about like the photographs coming out, people getting outraged over it, and then everyone thinking I'll be the savior and I'll kind of whip up the outrage even more. That is what drove a lot of that kind of affected the whole sensationalism of things, which was not required really.
The problem was also that apart from the photos, they also gave details of the victim, right?
Yeah, because at that time it was still even official documents. We can get into that discussion as well. Even the official kind of report on it suggested rape and murder. Like you were saying, the law and the existing rules require us not to reveal the name of the victim, of rape victims.
And coming to that point, it is a punishable offence, right?
Yeah, it depends upon what the punishment could be. Yeah, but it is a cognizable offence, let's say.
Okay. It is written in law that you
shouldn't.
Should not.
You cannot, rather.
Regarding this, like, if you look at other cases also, forget about murders. There is this, you have also pointed this, there was this voyeuristic attitude of, I guess, people everywhere, but because not just this, we have also in the past there have been so many cases where the social media pages have released photos of accidents as well, which without first of all, why do you even need to release such photos, right? Even if it is blurred or whatever
because no one is challenging the fact that a murder has taken place.
Not just I'm talking about even
accidents. Yes, I mean before that, even suicide cases. I'm talking some years back here where they would just have photographs of dead bodies hanging from trees. It was disturbing, yes, but it was also wrong. I mean,
so this case is a serious one, but then I'm thinking about the other cases also. Okay, now let's move to other cases of even let's say assault or even sick, like ill people. I don't think even that is appropriate, right? When you post photos of patients lying in the hospital.
I don't think it is.
If like it's very
manipulative, I think.
You feel cheap when you look at such photos. Like you don't feel nice when you look at such photos, right?
Yes.
And so it starts from there is what I'm trying to say. When you just people just want to see blood, I don't know, but somebody's beaten up, they'll put a photo of that person, or somebody's lying in the hospital very ill, it might be for whatever reasons, like to, I don't know,
generate sympathy,
whatever, but then it's still, I feel
it's not proper.
And then the desensitization has been happening like that, and now you have such cases. Now when it comes to such serious cases, they don't feel anything doing this, right?
And also I think it's I think a lot of the social media, let's talk about the social media circulation of these photographs. I think it was, those people must have been thinking that, I have to show the people how brutal the killing was. To give them the benefit of the doubt, right?
I have told you that I don't think that
justifies it.
No, I have told you that I don't think that is what goes through their minds. Also, some of them, not maybe all of them, but some of them don't even think about it. It's just
we've got this, let's post it.
It's something that will be circulated. It is something that will become viral, and it is something that will catch people's attention. Post it.
Or someone else will post it before I do, so let's circulate it.
Exactly.
And it's not, I mean, when I think social media, it's not just on Facebook, the public platforms of that people visit, but I think these photographs were also circulating on WhatsApp. And that I can't understand. Like that is just voyeuristic, I think, because I can't understand why I should receive photographs like this, or why I would ever forward that to anyone. Because I think the moment you tell someone that a 19-year-old has been murdered, that is shocking enough. I don't need to kind of show them the photograph also to push the point that, aren't you outraged? Aren't you angry? I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. And that is something that we said recently as well. That contaminates the story in the end. Like, for instance, in this case, when everyone screamed rape and murder and built this entire pressure, I think to the extent that even the police included rape in its initial charges when they were registering the complaint, even though they were not convinced at that time about that having taken place. But and then, let's say, more evidence surfaces which says that there was no rape. And people kind of quote that, let's say, mistake in reporting or whatever you want to call it, as somehow meaning that it was not as bad as you all made it out to be. I think it is much worse than any of us could have made it out to be. Try telling that to the family. Their child has been killed. Right? So I think jumping the gun or trying to kind of instigate thinking that you are required, whether as a private person or as a journalist, to kind of make sure that people get a sense of how bad this murder was and adding more violence to it. I think it is so disrespectful. It's so wrong. at all levels.
You also had cases of politicians visiting the victim's family
After the protest by the students.
After the protest, yeah. And then even, maybe not all, but like a lot of them maybe posting pictures that they have visited.
Yes.
They have talked to them, they have assured them, blah, blah, blah. Even that I think is very wrong. You do that, like, I don't know, you are donating something to some school or something, you do the photo op thing, right? Photo key. But in such cases, like, let it, like, you don't have to do that, no?
Yeah. I mean, if you kind of want to add some nuance to it, you can always say that it's also to tell the people that as your representative or as someone claiming to be a public personality, I've done my job and visited the family. It would have been nice if they had visited the family immediately after the incident and not after the
protest.
After it became clear that all of Sikkim was angry with the slow progress in investigation. And I think that was kind of
distasteful.
Distasteful it was. But I think it was also which doesn't kind of excuse it, but I think it was also when they realized that people are also noticing that we've not done enough to register our sympathies or sense or assurances.
I know you told me like it is for me. You were saying like as people's representatives, if they don't
it should have come earlier.
If
they don't go, also people would say they still didn't go. So it's to kind of get themselves on record. But there is no need to post photographs with the family and things like that. I think just telling the people that we were there is enough. And you don't even have to say that. I mean, even if you put out a statement saying that we stand with the family, it's enough. And you can do these things in private. I mean, people should be allowed to grieve in private.
Yeah.
I don't think we respect that enough. A lot of people think that it's a very elitist sentiment that people need their privacy and to be allowed to grieve by themselves. I don't think it is. Even if the family does not say that they mind all this, or even if they don't feel it, it doesn't mean that it's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean
that is something.
Okay. I think that's something that as fellow humans we should just
try and understand.
Try and understand.
It is also like I would rather.
We do not abandon them to isolation. I don't think we should do that. But we don't need to promote.
No. See,
it's like...
No, my problem with these politicians visiting thing is, theek hai, right? Like, my problem is them using it as a photo opportunity, right? But, not a photo up, but photo op.
Yeah.
Photo opportunity. But, like, if you are really concerned, first of all, you should have jumped on the case as when it happened, or when it was reported. And second of all, ठीक है, बाद में पता चला, whatever, दिमाग बाद में खुल गया, you follow up on the case, you put pressure, you put pressure on the police, you ask them what's happening.
You send me a photo of you sitting with the investigating officer and asking what is happening.
Or
why
that is a greater photo op.
Or why there's still confusion about the sections of which crimes are you going to charge the person with, right? I'm not saying I think that's important. All that you are saying, if you had not said it, I would have said it, but since you said it, I'll play the devil's advocate here. So, given how feudalistic the society still is in Sikkim, I think the moment a senior leader of the party, because party is also very strong, right? The ruling party is also very strong, traditionally very strong in Sikkim. The moment a senior leader of the party and the ministers visit, the cops suddenly wake up and say, oh, we have to do something about it. Right? Which, of course, they could have achieved by just a phone call or a visit to the Thana instead of the house. But I think that is also important because the moment the pressure built and the moment all these visits took place, a day later the accused was arrested. Yeah. And I'm not saying that this led to it. It could just be the process of investigation. But if only the cops had been more forthright about, if there had not been so many obvious signs that a weekend can delay things in Sikkim nowadays, then maybe there would not have been need for things to get so... I wouldn't say out of hand because everything is settled down.
Just for the listeners, what I think Pema is talking about is that the incident happened on 8th, which was a Friday.
Probably.
Which was a Friday, and then they took the body for post-mortem, and then of course Saturday is a government holiday, Sunday is a government holiday, so the post-mortem report came only on Monday. So that was one of the problems that a student pointed out that in the protest rally, how can you take so long in such a case? Like, why can't it be expedited? I mean, why do you like ek aadmi ka chutti cancel kar do, whatever, in such cases, right? So yeah, that's just the background. And that was not just the problem. There were other problems that the students were pointing out also, right? Just the lackadaisical attitude of the police, allegedly lackadaisical, we don't know.
Very believable. They're very casual. Their priorities are different. They must be on VIP duty or something.
Yeah, and not just this case came into the limelight, right? But not just, I was just thinking, like, Sikkim is not a big state, it's not a big place. Constituency में ministers लोगों को पता होता है कौन they know people also, everyone, right? By name, some of the politicians. So when something like this happens, not just such a case, any kind of crime, like serious crime, like a murder, or they can just, why do they have to, like, they can just call up the administration and ask what's happening, right? Just, you don't have to pressure.
Just that much is huge pressure.
Yeah, that's it.
These guys will be jumping on their toes and like they'll be on their toes and do the right thing, I think.
Utna karne mein kya jata hai? It's just a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that happened, and the media reporting was...
No, I think even the response since then, right? I mean, the way the people...
And media, we are referring to only the social media, I think, right now.
Anyway. No, every media. I think the print media didn't do a great job of reporting either. But what I'm saying is, okay, that was a problem, and we have been critical of the media, social media or print or press or whatever you want to call it. But I think after more details of the case surfaced, and the way, let's say, the politicians or the administration then challenged what was there on social media and like accused them of sensationalizing things, which, okay, they did. Even those arguments that they were using were so distasteful, right? I mean, the moment you say that it was not rape, and what you're implying is it was just a murder. Nothing is just a murder. A murder is a murder. And a young person has been killed. And the investigation was, in the initial days, appeared to be tardy or slow or not as engaged as people would have wanted it to be, right? So those are all those points still remain, right? Irrespective of which all crimes were committed. So I think even that response was very distasteful by saying, oh, you blew it out of proportion and things like that. You don't say that. You say that you misreported and that the administration did its job. You don't say ki you besmirched Sikkim's name all over the country by calling it a rape and murder. It was just a murder. I mean, what are you that does not even make sense, right?
Yeah, and also...
So I think this particular case exposed a lot that is wrong with us at a societal level.
No, and even with the administration, I was thinking, when such things and then such attention is being focused on a case, the police need to act promptly, give a press conference, immediately, tell them what's happening.
Yeah.
Don't tell them what they don't need to know.
Yeah.
We are okay with that, right? If you're not sure that there was a rape that had happened, tell them tell them just what the media
just
needs
because there's public pressure, you don't add that section to the case either.
So, that kind of thing is missing. And then when it comes to I was telling you also, the law needs to be implemented, right? So people who have, in the past, there have been so many cases, similar cases of, I think, rape and
minors,
POCSO cases, on social media details being given, photos being spread. Every time something like this happens, there is criticism. People criticize, even people in power are critical about it, but nothing is done. I really want the court or the administration to take action, to take action and to set an example. This is a very complex topic, but I feel like in this case there have been so many times that they have been pardoned or they have been let go, but I think it is high time some kind of action is taken. And also another thing, I would like to request social media pages, is that they have such a great platform, and they have something that the print media doesn't have, which is like instant connection with the readers or followers or whatever,
and a medium that suits the short attention spans of the consumers.
And they can report things as and when it happens, right? Print media, we only come out the next day, and but with that, what we do have, the upper hand we have, is that we have all the time to collate the information and to sift through what is right, what is not, what is correct, what verify information and all that. But the social media doesn't have that. But that means they have to be even more careful about what they release. That is what is missing, no? Just because you have a platform like this, you cannot like say, like, you cannot make excuses like, हमको तो अभी this is where it's like TV journalism, right? On the spot करना पड़ता है, ये करना पड़ता है, so we don't have that. That's not excuse enough. You have to put in certain parameters that for reporting an incident or whatever, right?
Yeah, a good place to begin would be to not get overtly emotionally attached with the story. If you are emotionally moved by a story, then try to give an even more complete picture instead of saying that my emotions will cover up for whatever is lacking by way of journalism.
That is very difficult. What you are saying is a very tall demand, because it's journalism ही नहीं है सिक्किम में. People don't know what you are talking about, right? When you detach yourself from like the subject, and
which is not possible all the time also, but
because which is not possible all the time, but at the same time, even when this story happened, and we were very late in reporting it because we don't have reporters on ground, many reporters on ground doing this kind of story. So, but we didn't report it because we could not, because we didn't have all the details. But when we finally did, I was very emotional,
angry
when I was editing the story. But then I said, no. I told you also, I said, no, let's report the story. It is, so what happens is this ego thing comes in, no, with many people, कि मुझे ये story अच्छा करना है, या मुझे ये वो करना है, forgetting that the focus has to be the story and not you, the reporter, right, or the whatever. So
that's what it has to be.
Anyway, let's talk about the announcement that came in a month ago now. We were supposed to do a podcast earlier on this, but then since we couldn't, so the government had announced that
the previous government had commissioned some agency to work on a public transport solution, work on the traffic congestion and public transport options and things like that. And that company had finally finished its proposal, consultancy or whatever, and made a presentation to the administration, the who's who of the administration, on what their findings were. And what were they finding? What was one of their suggestions?
That the cable car network could be started in Gangtok, from Ranipul to Gangtok area.
Ranipul through Gangtok,
and they were exploring that.
That was concept. A suggestion. It's a very exciting and interesting suggestion in itself as an idea. But before we get into the concept of cable cars, right now the administration, I feel the administration and the administration essentially, I think is being over careful and is too conscious of the fact that there is a changed government in place. So obviously everything that the previous government cannot be right away endorsed. The press communique we received on this presentation had officers saying again and again and again that we are not recommending this yet, but this is one of the proposals on us. It will be decided only after the government greenlights it. Which, of course, is the case with every proposal, right? I mean, Bureau Babus don't decide policy. Policy is decided by the elected representatives. That's not something you have to tell me. or at least you don't have to tell me like every second paragraph that the final call will be with the government. That is understood. It will be the government which will decide this is. It will be the elected representatives who will decide whether this is a. But I think that they were just kind of playing it too careful. That this is something the previous government had commissioned. We cannot say it's a great idea straight away until we are told by the new political bosses that it's okay to endorse this idea, because we don't know whether we want to continue with this consulting firm either, because these were also hired. I just thought that was so childish. Yeah. Anyways, but as an idea, the cable car is not new to Sikkim. I think it was proposed many years back as well. This idea was floated around, and a lot of people had pointed out to the bottlenecks because of the casual way in which people construct houses here, of where will you find even the space. Of course, the cable cars don't run on roads; they'll be in the air, right? But even the height of Gangtok, a lot of the spaces have like these guys with their cantilevers thrown out and clogging everything.
No, but from the little research that I have done...
Yeah, they can do a new access actually.
The little research that I have done is that this cable car network is very successful in Rio de Janeiro.
Also, yes, I mean we see it from that Jesus statue.
There
was phenomenal action sequences.
It's successful because Rio de Janeiro is also supposedly the most populated
yes, it
city in the world, right?
Yeah.
So they said the advantages of a cable car network is that you don't need, obviously it's in the air, right? And then the towers that you need to make, they also don't need comparatively as much space, no?
Yeah.
Which is why they were able to make the network there. So, and which has really helped the local population with transport. Like, it was like Rio de Janeiro is like, yeah, bichara types, right? I mean, okay. No.
There are two Rio de Janeiros. I mean, there is the rich section and the poor section, I'm sure.
No, I think I almost saw in that video like people with like dokos types, tokris types also in the cable.
I mean, those are the people who take public transport. I think if you put ropeways, your Pajero driving people are not going to leave their Pajeros at home and take the cable car anyways.
No, so I don't know why I brought that up. But so what I'm saying is that it's doing very well. It's you could see, I showed you a short clip, no, where the cable car is not even stopping
at the stop.
Like it will just slows down and people just like jump out of it, and then anyway. So the only problem I have with that in Sikkim is my distrust at maintenance.
Yeah.
Of this, because it's very scary also. Even in Rio de Janeiro, it's a hill.
One section, yeah.
This thing, so upar se niche, whatever. Yeah. So यहाँ पे भी वैसे ही होगा. And the only fear I
it is because I remember, I not Gangtok yet. Gangtok is a very small section of ropeway we have, which no one uses as public transport. It's only for tourist joyrides. Originally, it could have been a good idea to service Tashiling, right? You could have all the traffic ending at Devrali if people going to Tashiling just took the ropeway, which no one does. It's quite kind of like not the best managed for the locals. It's essentially meant for
it goes slow, बहुत धीरे से जाता है.
But it's still quicker than taking a taxi to Tashiling from Devrali. Yeah. But that maintenance bit, I'll tell you. So I remember taking the ropeway in Darjeeling, which is a horror. And when I got into the cable car, the cabin, first there was a section missing in the center of the thing, which was a trap door that they left open.
Oh my God!
And there was a coil of rope on the side. And I said, what are they saying? That you could get stuck somewhere and then you got to throw the rope down and rappel your way off? So that is like, it can't be like that, right? I mean, when you're putting, and it did crash, right? Some years back, the cable car did crash in Darjeeling into a tea estate and things like that. So maintenance is very important, which means that, and it's still a far ways off. A ropeway takes time to lay. I think not as much time as a new road, but a ropeway does take time to lay, and then they'll obviously give it out to someone on lease. It will be very important that they pick someone good who's going to ensure, and that they have a corporation or an agency that makes sure that it is maintained properly.
Which is very
Tall ask.
Tall ask.
It's a tall ask, but I think it is important that they do that. I think they are right now. There's a network of bypasses coming up to Gangtok. There's one coming from Siari, some coming from Banjakri, which are expected to ease traffic. I think until those roads are through and people are actually using it, we won't know whether more roads. And more roads is not the answer that has been established by traffic managers all over the world. You cannot add roads and expect that congestion to ease because the number of vehicles on the roads is increasing it at too fast a clip for the road.
Odd even
just
karna padega. Odd even.
Yeah, which will be even problematic because odd even. But then you got to look at it's. A good public transport is a good place to begin. I think the ropeway can happen whenever it happens. It'll be wonderful if they can have a decent ropeway service for Gangtok. But before that happens, I think Sikkim needs a reliable public transport system. I mean, there is no...
because people now, maybe not some years ago, but now people really are, they've had it with the traffic jams and all that. People with cars also prefer not to take their cars, right?
Yeah.
So they are primed for
good
public transport. Maybe people are like, nahi, mujhe to apna gaadi mein jana hai, nahi, mujhe naya gaadi kharidna hai, and all that, right? But now I think bahut ho gaya hai. I know some people, a lot of people, my circle, who are like...
all rich people with their own cars who would rather take a taxi.
Yeah, please. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, no, time is running out. Let's quickly go over the other two topics that we wanted to bring up. One is the Speaker of the State Legislative Assembly, Mr. L.B. Das, exploding on social media? Meltdown on
It was not so dramatic, but it was a strong statement.
And what did he say?
I don't know. He said something like, if my people are not happy with me, then I'll resign from my post of speaker, something to that effect, which was clear. I'm paraphrasing here. I'm not so much on Facebook, so I won't know. But he had said something to the effect that, if my party or some people in my party are not happy with my work, I'll willingly resign.
Yeah, and then of course that just people got to speculating who he's talking about. And
who's not happy with him?
Who's not happy with him, and what is this? And now it's over, right?
Yeah. No one expected him to resign.
Yeah. So the other is the confusion about the 10 SDF MLAs. 12 SDF
Former.
MLAs. 10 who went to BJP, 2 who went to SKM. Yeah. Which party are they in? Because the assembly refused to accept their papers, citing some
not refusing to accept, citing that the paperwork they submitted about their party switch was not complete. Not complete. So they continued. So they've still not been recognized as BJP and SKM MLAs.
Yeah.
Which does not necessarily mean that they're still SDF MLAs. Perhaps on paper they're still SDF MLAs, but they can, as far as things stand, they've been given separate seating, so they are unattached as of now. Which was very interesting. So which means that BJP has 2 MLAs only as things stand against the 12 if you added the 10 from SDF to that number, the 2 who won the elections. So that was interesting that it was brought up in the assembly, made a mention of, and the MLAs themselves had they did not have very convincing answers to why their paperwork was incomplete. Maybe they just didn't know how. They are defecting for the first time, no?
And the 10 ML,
Yeah, some of them have experience.
Yeah. So the 10 MLAs met Ram Madhav today.
Oh yeah, and so then, so of course these 10 MLAs, why 10 MLAs? Could have been 12 also. BJP technically, as far as BJP sees it, they have 12 MLAs.
Yeah.
So maybe it was all 12 of them. who met Ram Madhav today, and there was immediately speculation, what are they meeting Ram Madhav? Are they talking about pressuring SKM into going in for an alliance government, as was always expected, I think. And I don't know, it could just be that they've gone there to collect their documents of joining BJP so that they can submit it to the speaker. Ram Madhavji, please give your acceptance report card or whatever. But yeah, it's not, I don't think it's just for the paperwork though.
Okay.
And there is no reason for them to be visiting him unless, which I don't think is the case, unless they are there to tell BJP that you're bringing citizenship amendment bill is coming up in the parliament and things like that you got to talk about, keep relaxations for Sikkim and not extend into Sikkim and things like that, right? The Northeast is boiling over it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're talking about that, but then hopes are pointless. I don't think that's what they're discussing. I think what they're discussing essentially is like, what do we do next?
Okay. That's it for today. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
See you.